Okay, so this is the second part of a tutorial covering the generation of interactive buttons in DreamWeaver. The first part covered the generation of the imagery that's going to be required to develop those buttons. So we went through that in Photoshop, and I showed you guys how to save those out as PNGs. So for what we're going to do here, we're actually going to start to plug that in and generate our interactive button here. So the first thing we're going to do is we've created a new document. You can be working in your index file. I'm actually going to save this first because that's actually going to help us out with some of the file extension issues. So we'll call this working. Okay. And so what we'll do from there is we want to go ahead and first we want to insert our AP div object because we want this thing to be flexible. We're not going to be restricted by what we can do with it here. And we can go ahead and using this, just like was demonstrated in class, we can start to set the dimensions of this relative to the pixels here. Alright, so you can see that update there. Okay, so from there we want to make sure that we're active in our div object there. We're going to go ahead and insert an image object, and we're going to create a rollover image. Okay, and so we can call this button 1. In conjunction with what we actually titled some of our others. And so we can come over here and it's going to ask us to select the image. Now it's actually really important that if you want to create some buttons here, this doesn't have to be the case, but you actually get these things to align and have a relationship to each other. You could set it up so that when you roll over the button, a giant image pops up as well, so that's not limited in that capacity. But we need to set up and go ahead and upload our up state, and then we have our rolled over state. Okay. And from here we can also set up the link here, and so we'll say we want this to go to forum.org. Okay, and so we can from there that everything should be set up. We hit OK, and now our image is actually sitting in here, and you see there it did a bunch of very lovely code for all of us in here. So and I have those images sitting in an info folder. You're going to want to make sure that you remove this extra piece of code when you go through this, because what that's going to do is that's right now saying it's in that folder, and so you want to make sure that that is going to be readable. But from here what we can do is we're actually ready to test this. So if I go ahead and press F12, or I can go ahead and do the preview in browser. So then when we press F12, it's going to automatically preview this. And you can see our buttons appear in there, and if we roll over our mouse, our graphic actually appears as well. Now you got to pay attention to this is actually all running within here, so we want to make sure that we get this set up and then plug that into the web appropriately.